All right, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Kick. Exciting week 4 back in the saddle, so that's good. Got a nice groove rolling. You should notice, oh, I got it right up here. QR code to a form that will allow you to submit your question anonymously or not. If you choose to be identified, that's fine. Happy to help you directly and mention you, give you that shout out. A big thank you. Also, you can pop your questions in whatever tool you're using, whether it's LinkedIn Live, Twitch, YouTube, or Kick. Just go ahead and jump in the chat, drop a question, we'll answer it. It'll show up here. Got a nice tool that consolidates it across whatever platform you're on. So that way you don't have to worry about jumping across all four. Pick the one you like and use it. We do work as best I can, depending on how quickly questions come in, on a first in, first out basis. So the sooner you get your questions in, like we have some that were submitted via our form, that form right there, that we'll be tackling today. So don't hesitate. You don't have to wait for 1 o'clock Eastern on Wednesdays to get your question. I'm more than happy to have you live on stream. But if you can't make it or you don't want to forget, go ahead and get those questions in early, and that'll make sure that we get them tackled first. After all, it's free help. I mean, who doesn't want free help? So here we go. Off to the races. Topic number 1, a throwback, something that was asked that I never got to in a previous stream way back in 2019. So yes, this question dates back to 2019 from pre-pandemic times when we were streaming. So it is all around delegation and how you get comfortable doing that. Here's the reality. Delegation is scary. Delegation is terrifying because you lose control. That thing that you were able to ensure happens, you can't do that anymore. But the opposite is you become the bottleneck. Everything runs through you. And that just crushes you. I know I did that personally. The first time I stepped into a leadership role, I didn't delegate. I didn't even delegate poorly. I just didn't delegate. So that meant everything came through me. While that ensured that I had comfort in making sure everything was done well, done to my standards, the team felt unempowered, if that's the right term for not empowered, but they didn't find joy and happiness in their work because at the end of the day, they weren't able to push things across the finish line. It always had to go to me. So, number 1, my life was difficult because I was getting crushed by everything that was happening. Number 2, my team wasn't happy. So, you have choices. You can just make everybody miserable and not delegate, or you can do the scary thing and you can delegate. You can empower people to succeed on their own. That doesn't mean you send them off and send them packing and say, hey, go get them, tiger. No, you support them. You enable them along the way. Talk about it. The way I like to think of things is there's guardrails, and you start with the guardrails relatively narrow. As we talked about, without delegation, the guardrails are smashed together and no one goes anywhere. So start with them relatively narrow. That's comforting for you, but also comforting for the person that's off on their own the first time. Think about the first time you go and do something on your own. The first day of high school, the first day of college, the first day of whatever it might be, of your new job. It was a little bit scary. So knowing that you had support, somebody in your back pocket, somebody that was there ready to help you, that gives you comfort and confidence to go and tackle what you maybe thought was impossible before. But now you have that confidence. You're empowered to go make it happen, and you do that. Then you will start wanting to expand the guardrails. That person wants to be able to just run fast. Think about as you're growing up, you want to just like, mom, dad, let me go. Like, I'm fine. I'm a teenager. I got my keys. I can go do my thing. This is the same thing. People like the empowerment and the freedom that they are given. So let it happen. Yes, it's scary. But you know what? Good things happen when delegation happens. You got to let go. You got to enable that team member or the team itself to go make things happen. And I bet that they deliver on it better than you would have if everything ran through you. In fact, forget betting. I would guarantee that they deliver more effectively than you. So, for those of you that are wrestling with delegation, wondering, how do I make that happen? How do I get better at it? The harsh reality is it's something you just have to close your eyes and jump. You got to make it happen. Yes, you can do guardrails and you can start with them narrow, but make sure there's actually space within the guardrails and it's not squished and that person, that team can't actually go anywhere. Then over time, you widen them, widen them, widen them. They're always there. There's always a guardrail there. It might be insanely wide, but the guardrails remain there. So I wish I had a silver bullet for you, a magical answer that would make everything feel better and it would just be super easy. It's not. What is easier is delegation number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 5. So each time you delegate and empower that team member or team itself and they succeed and they deliver, everybody feels a little bit better. We talked about how without the delegation, no one's happy. This delegation empowerment enables everybody to be happy and to run faster and to run smoother. So you're going to have to just close your eyes on that first one and get the party started. But like I always say, the first is the worst. The first time you do something, the hardest it is, the messiest it is. But that next time you go and do it again, it's easier and better. And so is the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So there you go. Delegation. It's hard, but you got to do it. Quote of the day. Delegation, it's hard, but you got to do it. Okay. We're going to step into topic 2 before we do a reminder for anybody that has just joined. In the chat, in whatever live streaming app you're in, if it's LinkedIn Live or YouTube or Twitch or Kick, you can drop in a question or a comment. Feel free. It all gets consolidated here on the right side of our screen, so don't worry about making sure it's seen by other members across whatever devices they're streaming on. If you are uncomfortable and would like your question to be anonymous, you can use the link here on this QR code that will get you to a Google form that lets you submit your questions without anybody knowing. Because I do understand, I have heard feedback that, hey, it's a little uncomfortable sometimes airing some dirty laundry about something I'm wrestling with, maybe a peer of mine that could stumble onto the stream or the video on demand later and look at it and say, wait a minute, what's going on there? So want to support everybody and all of their needs in making that happen. One more drink of water before I get going. I've been making an intro video for my new course, which is going to play nicely into this next question. This next question submitted anonymously via our forum. Thank you, anonymous user, whoever you may be. It was all around lean and agile portfolio management. Is that even a thing? What does it look like? There was some additional context provided with a question about multiple teams being brought together and every team was doing their own thing, and it got kind of messy. In fact, it sounds like it got really messy. So then a PMO office was put in place to corral everything, sync things up, and it turns out everybody hates life. What I will say is it's okay. Number one, what I've learned over time is that we as humans live on this pendulum. So what happened was there was chaos because I think the number was 10 teams or 10 products. I don't remember whether it was teams or products or 10 teams and products. there was chaos and it felt unruly. So, hey, let's put this thing in, and the pendulum swings way to the other side. And now there's so much um, alignment that nobody's happy. So, let's talk about ways that that can happen. I'm going to tell you a story about a situation where I did this exact same thing and how I adjusted. So, I understand, to the anonymous question asker, I have been in your seat. I have made this mistake. So, I'm going to tell you my story of what happened and how we handled it. It was, oh my goodness, I don't even remember how long. I'm going to say 10 years ago, maybe a dozen years ago. And I had been given the opportunity to build a team, product, and process from scratch. And we absolutely crushed it. We had built this monster of a process, an agile process that we loved, that people around the world loved. We had teams flying in from Europe to come and visit and understand how we were doing the things that we were doing. So we were really proud of it. We knew we had something special, and we were proud of it. People were telling us how good it was, so we were pretty happy with ourselves. Company continued to do well, and we started acquiring companies, which meant me, as the leader of product development at that company, now had all these other teams spread across the country and globe that were now building software. So the obvious answer for me is, oh, well, we've built this massively wonderful process of how we build software. Everybody's going to fit perfectly into this. Everybody, the way you've been building software, the way you've been successful enough to get acquired by our company, trash it. I want you to change the way you're doing things to the way we're doing things. That was a disaster. While I felt like I was doing the right thing, turns out I was doing the opposite. These teams had established a winning culture, a winning way of building and shipping products that their customers loved. And in order to gain alignment, in order to do the way things I thought was best for the team that I had built, for the product we had, for the customers we had a great process. And I blindly believed that applying that same process across the board was the right answer. I had good intentions, but that's all they were. They were good intentions. Everything was a disaster. So I had all of these teams now reporting to me that were frustrated because they were winning before we got acquired. Now they got acquired, and this big company was putting all this process and red tape on them and making them do things that didn't make sense. Didn't make sense to them. And they didn't understand why they needed them. So after, I'm going to say, 3 to 4 months of pain and agony for everybody involved, my eyes were opened thanks to some of the leaders across the board, across the companies that we had acquired, that pushed back on me. I had worked really hard to create a culture where feedback was welcome, and I got the feedback. And what I boiled it down to was, under the covers, I don't care how you execute. What we chose to establish was a protocol for all products within our company of, this is how you provide visibility into what's happening, because that's the thing that we needed most. We needed visibility and awareness across all of our products of what was happening. To do that, I required three things of each product across our portfolio. Number one, they had to, every 2 weeks, stand up in front of the company and say, this is what we've done in the past two weeks. Sprint review, sprint demo. That's it. How you chose to operate between those 2 weeks, your choice. The second piece, once a month, you had to publish an updated view of what you expected to accomplish in the next 6 sprints or 3 months, whether you use 2-week sprints or not. It was a 3-month chunk that we would ask you to provide a forecast of, these are the things we expect to build. That gave the rest of our company, the rest of the team that was working on the go to market efforts of once a product was built, launching it effectively, bringing it to market, enabling our customers to use it right out of the gate, our support team to be able to support it, sales and marketing to be out front and sell it like champs so that day one, that code hit the server, it was in use. Those teams needed the visibility of that 6 sprint or 3 quarter view. The third and final piece was every month, each product had to provide a 12-month view broken down into quarters of these are the things we expect to build over the next year. That provided us with strategic alignment across our portfolio to make sure that we weren't doing anything redundant or silly that was being tackled by various products across the board. So it enabled our products to be in sync and deliver cohesively as a portfolio. So that was the protocol. That was it. 3 things. You had to update the company every 2 weeks on what you built, and every month on this is what we plan to build over the next quarter, and then over the following 3 quarters after that. That was it. What I strive for in situations like this is what I call minimum viable bureaucracy. That's really what everybody wants. And what that boils down to is I think of one of those balancing scales. You have alignment on one side and autonomy on the other. And you want to maximize both without allowing one to get out of balance with the other. And that's a tightrope walk. There's a ton of effort that goes into making that happen. But we found to have the least amount of process that was needed in place for us to be in sync, to maintain the alignment, and to enable the autonomy, that those 3 things, that was the protocol that every product was required to adhere to. Under the covers, what you did outside of those 3 things, how you wanted to execute, did not matter. Now, here's the good thing for you. Those of you that may be listening to this or watching this at a later date and say, you know what, that sounds pretty good. I might want to make that happen. I am building a course. I did not seed this question. It was just a happy happenstance that a course I'm building, I'm going to put a link in the chat, addresses exactly how I did this. So it is a 3-week live course. Let me get the link here. Yep. So that link there is a 3-week long live course where we will together go through how to build and operate products that operate in that model. We'll start with just a single product, but at the end, we'll wrap it up and talk about how you scale that across your portfolio. But it enables you to do all of those well, and you'll be amazed when you have those 3 things in place, how everything just kind of falls in line and works, and everybody's happy. So, to anonymous user, I do not know who you are, that asked the question about agile/lean portfolio management, how to make it not painful. That's a quick run through. If you would like further discussion, you can hit me up on LinkedIn, or there's always my newsletter where you can DM me with questions. We'll put that link in here as well. If I can spell. Leadership starts with an L, not a K. Last time I checked, right? So we will drop that into chat as well. You have the capability to DM me there. LinkedIn, you can DM me. You can DM me on, I think, every platform that you may be watching this on. So you have the capability to get in contact with me. Also, feel free to sign up for that course. We do plan to start in mid-July, so you have about a month to get everything lined up for that. Also, there are links on how you can expense that as professional training and development. So yeah, nothing out of pocket to go learn. How about that? Okay, those are our two main topics. Let me see if we have any new ones that have come in since we started chatting. Refresh that page. No, we do not. So, okay. This is always that time. Historically, back in the day, I've been doing this for a long time. Been streaming these, Ask Me Anythings for a long time. I enjoy it. We always had this theme where at the end of the stream, I would say, okay, let's sign off unless there are no other questions. And then usually as I'm saying my final farewells, wishing everybody a good day, best of luck, whatever it may be, questions will always come in last minute. So I've learned to delay the end just to let things happen. Doesn't mean it will happen. Hasn't happened as frequently in this set of streams. But I think you get the idea. So as a reminder, between now and next Wednesday, submit your questions using this link. It will get you to a Google form that will allow you to anonymously or not anonymously, whatever that word is, ask your questions, provide a little bit of context around that so that I can effectively answer those next week. All right. Well, until then, my friends, I hope you have a great rest of the week. I hope you continue to crush all of your goals. And I will see you 1 week from today, next Wednesday. Take care, everyone.